All right, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into Hump Day Hangouts. So those of you that are just now joining for Hump Day Hangouts, we were the previous hour on a RYS Academy anniversary update webinar. It was 4 years ago, tomorrow actually, but 4 years ago this month, that Marco really turned the SEO industry on its head with using Google to rank in Google. and it's been working ever since. And we just showed multiple examples of that. So if you missed that part of the webinar, you can always go back and check that out on the replay. It'll be on the YouTube channel. Okay. But for that said, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts, guys. This is episode 251.
Woo!
And you guys want to jump in and say hi to everybody real quick?
Yeah, definitely. I'll kick it off. This is weird because I never get to ask that. So, well, I'm doing great, Bradley. Thanks for asking.
What's up over there, Adam?
No, welcome everybody. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Like Bradley said, in case you came on and wonder what we're talking about, definitely go back, check out the webinar. Lots of good stuff. And then 48 hours, we got some special offers going for some really kick-ass stuff. So I'll leave it at that and pass the baton down to Marco.
What's up, man? It doesn't get any better than to have something on the web which is fluid and ever-changing, that not only still works, but in most aspects works even better than when it was first released. So it's incredible. I'm feeling really good. 4 years, right? A product, whatever you call it, training service. Think about it. How many have come and gone during those 4 years? And if you want to know which ones have come and gone, just look in your what do you call it, wherever you keep your digital garbage, for all the garbage that you've bought in the last 4 years, and you'll know what's still working and what isn't.
Yeah. Go check your JV Zoo receipts. So Hernan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, actually. Yeah, that's correct. So I'm doing great, actually. And, you know, having what Marcos has over there on his desktop, I have this right here. So yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, that's correct. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about Powerful Live coming up. And I'm really excited about what Marcos just shared. So that's it.
Very cool. And last but not least, Chris. Chris kind of snuck in here just a moment ago. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, just came back home from a race cycle tour. Was out all day, over 100 kilometers, but excited to be here. And great to finish the day off with a lovely Hump Day Hangout.
Beautiful. So Adam, you want to jump back in with any announcements before we get into questions? Unmute first.
Tell everybody that the mute button is very important. You got to learn how to use that in order to do webinars, but I'm still learning after 4 or 5 years doing this. Now, I wanted to say, if you're watching us for the first time, thanks for joining us. You're in the right place. We're going to jump in, start answering your questions. For those of you guys returning, thanks again for posting your questions, and we appreciate you guys showing up here. If you're ever wondering where to go, just always go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions, and that's where you can always go to ask questions. If you can't join us live, you can always check out the replay on the YouTube channel, but we certainly enjoy it when you guys show up here. And last but not least, last two things I wanted to say was if you're wondering where to get started with Semantic Mastery, this is the right place to get started. Get your answers here. The next step is definitely to grab the battle plan. It's at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. I'm not going to dive into the details here, but it's for repeatable results, which is what we want people to get. And this isn't just a tagline and a fancy catchphrase. You know, we were literally talking about this the other day, and that's what we want to give people. You know, in this industry, it's tough. Like we were just talking and joking about JV Zoo receipts and stuff that comes and goes, and saying, you know, what people need and what we needed was, you know, a process that gives us repeatable results. And that is what the battle plan is. Yeah.
And it just quickly, I just want to comment on that because we get a lot of people that come to us with questions and you know, about like how to get results, or they'll do part of the work. In other words, they'll get the battle plan and they'll do one component of it. And then they'll say, well, I'm not getting any results. And when we drill down into it, you know, what it is that they did, we find out that they didn't put all those pieces together. And we put out the battle plan for a reason, because that is literally the step-by-step process that we use to get results over and over and over again. And that's one of the things that in consultation with a lot of our like mastermind members and you know, people that we talk to, as well as the surveys that we take, we hear over and over and over again is that a lot of people don't have confidence because they don't have repeatable. They can't. They're always afraid they can't repeat results. They don't have any consistency in their ability to get results. And that's where the battle plan comes in, because if you follow it and don't take shortcuts and omit steps or components of it, you put the things together properly, then you're going to get results. And once you know that you can get results over and over and over again, it builds your confidence to where you can ask that client for that high level retainer fee, because you know that you can get the results without a doubt, instead of, kind of pussyfooting around and trying to get $500 a month when you know you could be getting $1,500 a month, because you know for sure that you're worth it and you can get the results. And so I think that's really important. That, the battle plan is something that we're going to be possibly doing some more with in the next few months. We've been talking about that, my partners and I, in just the last couple of days, about how to make it more of a central part of new members that come into Semantic Mastery in any shape or form, and how to actually apply those things in a very orderly and regimented fashion to where you start to get results over and over and over again. Does anybody want to comment on that?
Definitely. No, totally agree. And just wanted to add on to that too, that, after you've done that, or once you've already got your processes going, that, we want you to join the mastermind for many reasons. One, it's our mastermind. We love it. It's something we started for ourselves and have grown. But that comes in once you've got the results, once you can go out there and you want help from other people who are doing the same. There's business owners in there, there's affiliate marketers, right? There's people who are growing their own agencies. And that is the next logical step for you to really take things up and start to run with it, and where we can offer, a lot more personalized advice as far as what to do. But once you get those, repeatable results, then you move on and come join the mastermind. And in the meantime, at whatever level you're at, we do highly encourage you to get stuff done for you, right? Start getting that mindset of, who can do this for me, not how do I get it done myself. And for those types of services, head over to MGYB.co. That's where you get your syndication networks done, your RYS drive stacks, press releases, link building, everything. So go on over there. And last but not least, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're checking this out, please hit subscribe, leave us a comment, say hi, ask questions, whatever you want, and then just come join us live for Hump Day Hangouts.
Yeah, I'd like to add just one thing before we move on to questions. A lot of people are looking for that goose that laid the golden egg, right? And they get offered all of these services and software and all of these ideas, and then when you take a towel to that egg, it turns out to be it's fool's gold, and now you're stuck with the bill because you paid them a whole lot of money, and you're right back to where you came from. Only your pocketbook's lighter and theirs is heavier, right? We're here, we're still here, and I can't say enough. Syndication Academy is still working, and that's way older than RYS Academy. Maybe it's not working the way that it was originally put out, but it still works phenomenally well when you do it and you use it the way that we teach. As Bradley said, if you cut corners, if you just don't want to do the work, then of course it isn't going to work the way that it was supposed to, because everything builds one on the other. And there's a purpose to our madness, that there is rhyme and reason to what we do. And we go for that final play so that you can become that trusted, authoritative source in your niche. If you don't, then you're doing it only part way. And what you might be even doing is confusing the bot so that the bot doesn't know what the hell to do with you. And you just end up where you are right now. So no cutting corners. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. I'm still working Saturdays, guys. I'm still working Saturdays, trying to make things better for you guys. So no cutting corners.
Well, God bless you for that, because I quit working weekends, man. It's rare now that I work on a weekend. But I also worked 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day for many years of my career, to get to the point where I don't have to work on weekends anymore. And like I said, it's rare that I work on weekends anymore. Marco does it because he just has the passion for it. So God bless you, buddy. All right, guys, I think we're good for questions, right?
I think so. Let's dive into this.
Okay, yep. Cool. All right, so the first one is from Blazed8. Hey guys, I'm currently going through Syndication Academy. Bradley does say you are better off buying it than building it. So here is the question. I want to put up a site for a private school that my grandsons attend. The purpose of this site is to expand awareness of the school and to get parents to inquire about sending their children to the school. based on the products and services you guys provide, what would you recommend I do to really push the needle on this site? Thanks. Well, as we just talked about, really get the battle plan if you don't already have it, and don't do all the work yourself. The battle plan is going to lay out the components, the pieces that you're going to put together to get results for that new site that you want to put up, right? So if you're going to put up a new site, that's great. Then syndication network. Then once the syndication network is delivered, then order the drive stack and include the syndication network URLs in the drive stack order, because they will be built into the drive stack. You want to publish some content to the blog or to the site that you're putting up so that it starts to populate the syndication network. Press releases are incredibly powerful. Like Marco said earlier when we had the earlier segment of this webinar, we recommend 4 or 5 press releases. They don't have to do them all right back to back, but you know, I recommend doing at least 2 a month if you can. So every other week. And you know, doing press release stacking. If you don't know what that is, we talked about that on an MGYB webinar. You can go to our YouTube channel and search press release stacking or PR SEO, and you'll be able to find that replay. You can also see it in the webinar replays at mgyb.co. I mean, guys, we're trying to give you the content in as many places as possible. So, you know, press release stacking. Then once you have all of that and you're again, blogging consistently to your site, which will syndicate to the network, is a component of that. Then beyond that, you can start doing a lot of the other off-page SEO stuff, which includes embeds and backlink building, and all of that is also available in MGYB. So long story short, get the battle plan, follow the plan, but don't cut corners. Don't just do one component of it and expect to see significant results. It's really about following the plan all the way through and using all of the pieces as they are intended. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, once you put it all together, that's going to seem like magic, like you did magic, and I get this. What is the wizard of I forget what they're calling this guy, but it's the wizard is somewhere in there because he just gets his clients' results, and how does he get them? He follows the battle plan. He gets done for you services from us, and then he goes and resells to his clients. That's his wizardry.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Right. It's next question is from Fitz. He says, "Good day, gents. Thanks for this forum to get real world results. What's working now? Answers." Thank you, Fitz. You're welcome. He says, "In Google Console," so he's talking about Search Console, "there is a column for impressions. Does that reflect how many impressions I am getting, or the total impressions available to that keyword?" No, that reflects how many impressions your site that you've submitted to Search Console is getting from it within Google. So when you look at impressions, it shows search queries that have triggered your site to show in the search results. Doesn't matter where they show. I think it's only the first 10 pages. If I'm correct, it will only register as an impression if Google has served your website or any page within your website for the search query shown within the top 100 results. I could be wrong about that. It may have changed. But it just means that your website has been given an impression in the search results for the query shown in the Search Console report, in the search queries report, if that makes sense. So if you actually take a look, there's a button, a tab called position, right? Or average position or whatever. You click on that and it will actually show you the average position of your page or site where it was ranked for that particular query. Now, and then if you click on the Pages tab, it will show you which page was being served or given an impression in the search results for that particular query, or pages if multiple pages have appeared for that same query. So it's like I said, poke around in those Search Console results, because you can get a lot of insight about queries that you didn't recognize or know were search queries that your site was getting impressions for, and then you can start to begin to optimize for those queries that your pages are getting impressions for, but may be ranked on, in 70th position, right? Let's just use that as an example. Then you can start to work on an SEO strategy to push those pages, or to get your site to rank better for those search queries. And so that's a really good question. But the impressions are the number of times that your site appears in the search results for those queries. What's interesting is when you apply some of what we're talking about here, like a drive stack, for example, especially a drive stack, you'll see that that's one of the metrics that I use to report back to clients as to show that the improvements are being made. Now, once a drive stack has been built, and especially once things start to index, you'll see the impressions will start going up month over month for keywords. And that's because the way that we build out the drive stacks, and we include so many of the keywords like in the metadata of the files and all that kind of stuff. And so what happens is your site, wherever you're pushing the relevancy to from the drive stack, so let's say back to a money site, will start to show for many, many more different keyword or search queries. You'll start to get impressions for many more of those. Now, your average position, which is one of the key metrics on those Search Console report, may say 30 or 40 or something like that. That's fine. And I've had to explain that to clients in the past, and they say, well, it shows my average position. I'm getting more impressions, but my average position is falling. And that's because that means that your site is being recognized for more search queries, but that doesn't mean that they're all uber optimized for those search queries. But that's still a key metric, in that your site is now being recognized for more and more relevant search queries, because it means that you're starting to build relevancy to the overall site, the entity itself, if that makes sense. Now, I know somebody's got some comments about that.
Yeah, but by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we talk a lot about delivering real world proven results, things that we have tested, things that we know. We don't just talk out our ass, man. We know what we're talking about. And one of the things that we know about the relevance passing through the G site, through the drive stack over to the website, is because of the number of queries, right? Which become available in Search Console. And so we can totally see the relevance being pushed through, so that now you're seeing all of these different impressions for things that you're not really optimized for, but then you can pick and choose which one where the money is, and optimize for that and push for that, the way I just showed in the RYS webinar, so that you can start making money from all of this data. Guys, you can't do anything without data, right? But it has to be the right data. Once you have it, then you can go like you can laser focus on that data and push into that and go after that. So guys, don't think that we're just delivering the things off the top of our head. It's things that have been 4 years in the making. And it's just constant. We're constantly in the lab trying to improve it, trying to make it better.
I agree. He says, if there are more impressions to be had, how do I increase that number? And again, that's how, blogging consistently, using various keywords. And that's one of the things, like I said, use Search Console to help you discover queries that are relevant that you may not have thought of, like things that even a keyword report may not have revealed to you, that are still relevant to your business, and then, or to the project that you're working on. So then you can start to develop a content strategy around those particular keywords to blog about them. Drive stacks, once again, when you find queries that that you didn't include in your keyword list when you ordered a drive stack, for example, or built one, then you can go back and add additional files into your drive stacks targeting those keywords, which is what we were just talking about. So that's how you do it. It really is. And it's crazy, because you'll see those impression numbers go up, and that's a clear indication that what you're doing is working. Okay. Next question from Fitz says, he's asking for the link to Marco's charity. So Marco, can you post that in comments below?
I already posted the link and things ahead of time to anyone who donates. It's a great cause, right? Education for children who would otherwise not have a chance to even attend school.
Very good. So Gordon's up again. He comes every week and asks questions. Hey guys, thanks again for your Hump Day help. It is greatly appreciated. You're welcome, Gordon. Thank you for always attending and asking good questions. So he says, I know you mentioned previously that in ranking a local business site, you no longer need to create a separate page for each keyword with the location. You can now create just a single page with all the keywords and the location, and Google will rank that one page for all the keywords. But I was wondering if the single page method now ranks more effective than the separate page method, or if the latter still works just as well, but recommend using the single page method only because it is easier and much less time consuming. No, what I have found is that Google prefers the longer form content with more of the same, as long as it's a related topical theme, right? That it prefers the longer form content. It's not that you can't still get the results with the single page method, you can. The problem with a single page, single keyword a single page optimized for a single keyword method. The problem with that is it's easy to over optimize that page, that particular page, and then it won't rank well. And in fact, it can actually pull the quality score down, the ranking score of your entire site. So it can end up affecting the entire domain because it's over optimized. It's like an over optimization penalty, essentially. Not like a manual penalty that you're going to get notified in Search Console for, but it will be like an algorithmic penalty. And that can happen very easily when you're trying to optimize a page for one single keyword. That's part of the reason why I prefer using a single page that has, as long as it's still in the same keyword theme. In other words, it would almost be like supporting keywords to, you could still divide your content up into headings or sections with separate headings where that's how you can kind of like compartmentalize the page itself to make it more logical and everything else. However, you're not going to be over optimized for any one particular keyword that way, if that makes sense. So you still can do the single page method, but you have to be careful because you can over optimize a page much easier now than you could, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, in fact, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago now, that was the preferred method, was to optimize each page for a single keyword. And even in a silo structure, you would have multiple pages or posts, depending on how you had your site, the structure of your silo built on your site. But either pages or posts would be optimized for individual pages, and they would link to each other, like either through a daisy chain or a mono silo, or whatever the case may be. They were still individual pages. You would figure out what all your supporting keywords were in a silo, and you would optimize a new page or post for each one of those supporting keywords. And again, I don't recommend doing that anymore. You still can do it, but you got to be careful because you can easily over optimize a page that way, which can cause it can cause an algorithmic penalty to the particular page, but that can also in turn affect the entire domain. So I would be cautious in doing that. I prefer using the single page method. I feel like Google has for years now has preferred that method because it's more like an authority, or I don't know if you want to call it cornerstone content, but it becomes more of an authoritative page that way. And there's a bunch of, it reinforces the overall theme of that entire silo or topic, if you will, on that one page, if that makes sense.
It's funny because I answered almost this exact same question in RYS Academy Reloaded this morning, where Google absolutely recommends the long form content on the same page because it's actually the same theme and they do belong on the same page, except that the page can get so long that the person will have to scroll through, right? It becomes a long scroll. So to avoid that, there are methods that you can use like skip navigation links so that the person can jump to the relevant portion of the page, whatever it is that they're looking for. Not only that, if you get like a specific keyword that you're targeting with that long form content that gets stuck, then that becomes a target for a blog post. And since you're using skip navigation, you can skip from the blog post to the relevant part of that long form.
Yeah.
But by doing that, you not only push that key, you're not only pushing at that keyword, but at the entire content, because that blog post will support that section and the rest of that long form page.
Exactly. And you can use table of contents plugins to help you develop out that longer form content and create those jump links or skip navigation links, that kind of stuff. So Marco's absolutely right. So Gordon's next question says, by the way, this may be a dumb question, but I'll go ahead and ask it anyway. He says, what, if any, things can you do to optimize a GMB listing after you have claimed and verified it that you can't do before you claim and verify it? That's a good question. Is there anything? Yeah, you can't upload. Well, I don't know. Can you? It's been a while since I've been in one that wasn't already verified. Are there certain things, Marco, that you know of off the top of your head that you're unable to do until it's been verified?
I think you can get it to 80% before verifying. We used to go and do the rest of it after it was verified, but you're okay at 80. Like if what's happening now is that the penalty or the suspension is algorithmic. If you go and you make too many changes after it's been verified, it's going to get suspended because Google actually wants to get you on the phone now or on video, and they want you to show your business. They want you to prove that you have a business, and that the easiest way for them is to algorithmically suspend it and force you to call. You call them instead of them calling you. I mean, I like it. I like the way that they figured it out. So what we're recommending is fill out as much as you can before you send for that PIN, and don't ever go back. I mean, you shouldn't have to go back and mess with it. You can upload your images. You can upload your logo. You can upload your background image. You can do the description. You do a whole lot of things. I know that they won't allow you to get that short URL until after it's been verified. I'm almost 100% sure that that's one of the things that you cannot do.
You mean like the page name they call it now?
Yeah, the short name.
Yeah.
The short name. But I don't see that as being just 100% a necessity. I don't see why you need to have that.
Okay, so next question is, hope this is the right place to ask. It is. It's Hump Day Hangouts. That's what this is for. So keep them coming. Just getting started and have a question about YouTube video URLs for syndication, backlinking, and use in Drive stacks. For each YouTube video, do you recommend using all versions, long and short URLs, plus the long and short playlist URL version of each video and playlists? Also, if you are constantly adding new videos to playlists and rearranging the order, does that break those previously used long and short video URLs? If changes screw them up, then where should they be used and not be used so as not to create a playlist video URL problem down the road? Thanks. All right, so the first part of that is long and short URLs plus long and short playlist URLs, versions of each video in the playlist. All right, to keep things simple, the long version of the YouTube, so like the watch equals URL on YouTube. So the full domain, www.youtube.com/watch equals, and then the video ID, that kind of stuff. Those are the better URLs to use for SEO purposes anyways. There are multiple versions of a YouTube URL, and there was at some time where we would do all kinds of crazy stuff. We'd get, in fact, one of our members of our mastermind, Uwe, he had a Google sheet that you could just drop the YouTube URL in and it would spit out, like, in all those different rows, all the different versions of the YouTube URL. And it does make sense to, if you're doing like a lot of mass link building, to use different versions of the URL. But if you're just doing some traditional SEO stuff, really the best URL to use is just the regular long URL of the video watch URL, not the short share URL, because that's a 302 redirect. You can put that into a redirect checker and you'll see that all that does is redirect to the long version, the watch URL, essentially, the watch page URL. So just use those. Now, as far as the playlist, I'm not sure if when you change the position of a video within a playlist, if the playlist URL for that particular video changes. I believe it does, but I'm not 100% sure. But it doesn't really matter, because think of a playlist as just a container, right? So all you really need to do is use the playlist URL, and then all of the other SEO work that you do will be to the individual URLs for each video within the playlist, so that even if you rearrange the positions of the videos within the playlist, it won't matter, because that you're not using the playlist URL for that video. You're just, if you're going to be link building, for example, to the playlist, you just use the playlist URL, which is just a container anyways. No matter where those other videos are within that container, it's not going to affect the playlist URL. The individual videos within the playlist, if you're trying to use the playlist share URL for that video, that may change. And you could easily determine that by just going into a demo playlist or whatever playlist you have, right? Copying 3 or 4 of the links, the playlist URL links for each video, right? So just copy 3 or 4 of them and then go rearrange them, and then copy the new URLs, or once it's been rearranged, copy the URL for that same video and put it in a notepad file and look, has it changed any? If it has, then yes, it could change it. I don't know that it would break the previous URLs, or if it would just auto redirect or what, I don't know. But honestly, typically it sounds like that's way overcomplicating things, in my opinion. Typically, all I do for video SEO stuff is I use the watch page URL, the longer URL for each video. Then I'll create a playlist. Then it's about the interlinking within the videos within the playlist, and then do additional SEO to the playlist URL itself or playlist embeds, which is also very, very powerful. But in either case, that's still just a single container essentially that you're optimizing. So does anybody else want to comment on that with anything different?
No, that's fine. I posted the URL not to use at somewhere down the bottom. It's the .be version of the URL. You don't want to use that.
That's the share URL. Yeah.
Yep.
And those are the 302 redirects, right? So, all right, Dan says, so yeah, just to clarify, I would not overcomplicate this. There's a lot of SEO tricks that work, you know, temporarily that you can get some beneficial results from, but really to keep things simple and long lasting. I mean, it's been like from the onset of YouTube, the strategy or the method that I just mentioned works. It still works today. So.
By the way, I still have that spreadsheet.
From Uwe?
Yep,
Yeah.
I still have it.
That's awesome. There was another tool that Damon Nelson had called VidPenguin, and it was a tool that essentially that's all it did was it would create a bunch of, it would create all the variations of a YouTube URL, and then it would put them into an RSS feed, and then burn a feed burner feed from the RSS feed that was just an RSS feed of all the YouTube URLs for that particular video. And that was called VidPenguin. I don't know if he still supports that or anything else. You could always just go search online for it and see. And if so, that's a tool that does something similar to what we were just talking about. But again, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of that stuff isn't really necessary. That you can get results doing what we talk about, just doing traditional SEO stuff on the videos and in sending engagement signals, guys. It's so powerful. And we talk about that many, many times, but just you can buy actual views from Google directly, and it's completely within terms of service. In fact, they encourage it. And if you buy relevant views, you're going to see incredible results. If you're applying both SEO and engagement signals, you'll see really good results. Okay, Dan says, is Google still on a rampage, or is it okay to change information in the GMB dashboard? I still am staying the hell out of them as much as possible, Dan. Anybody else have anything different to say?
No, I'm staying out of them, except that we had our mini mastermind meeting yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening. And then one of our members of the mini mastermind, he's having a VA go in there as a manager and make changes, and they're getting away with it. So there's no rhyme or reason to what Google is doing. Yeah. If you do too much all at once or within a certain time period, you're likelier to get hit, but it's not definitive. My question to you is, how much is that change worth to you? Is it worth taking the risk of getting suspended? If it isn't, don't bother. But if it's worth the risk, then go in there and change it.
Yeah, and I've talked about this over the past several weeks. I had a pest control client that has been a client of mine since 2014, maybe 13. I think 2013 actually. So like 6 years. And I went in. He sent me an email one day saying that there was a stink bug showing on the profile, like in the knowledge panel images. So that was coming up as one of the primary images, and he didn't like that. And he said, can you change this? And I said, well, since you guys don't really do anything specific with stink bugs, I'll just delete that photo from your Google Photos, your GMB photos. And so I did that. And then I deleted that photo, and then I went in, and for whatever reason, I had never published his GMB website. It had been created. It had all the content on it. But for whatever reason, I'd overlooked it or whatever, and I'd never published his GMB website. So I clicked the publish button. It's not that I even created it that day. Like I said, it had been created for well over a year. It just had never been published. And I clicked the publish button. And right after I clicked the publish button, it suspended his listing. It said, and so, I appealed it, and I, submitted a reinstatement request. And they kept sending the same message saying that there was a backlog because of the high number of Google My Business suspensions. There was a backlog, and that it was going to be 2 to 3 weeks before they would get to it. Well, it took almost 4 weeks, and they sent me a denial request or denial stating that they were not going to reinstate it because it didn't meet their terms of their quality guidelines or something, which is total bullshit because it was a legit business that had been in operations, got a lot of good reviews. I mean, it's been 6 years, never did anything spammy. So again, like Marco said, there was really no rhyme or reason to it. All that we did was delete one Google photo, Google My Business photo, GMB photo, and then click the publish button on the GMB website, and it automatically suspended it. And I did that as a manager of the GMB, not the owner. So then, you know, I told the client, my client, we were on a conference call about another issue, or, you know, something else that he wanted to talk about. And I told him that I was like, look, you know, you as the business owner, maybe you can get them to reinstate your GMB if you submit the request, as opposed to me doing it as a manager. And so sure enough, I walked him through the process, and he submitted the reinstatement request. And within about 2 weeks, it actually got reinstated. It was just reinstated about 10 days ago now. And so now it's live and it's back, and all the reviews are back and everything else. But like Marco said, what's it worth to you? Honestly, I try to stay the hell out of them if possible. And it was funny because right after it got reinstated, I got an email, because I'm a manager, from Google stating that it was, you know, was back live in Google. And you know, about 24 hours later or so, I got an email from the owner, and he was like, hey, did you see this? And it was something about the GMB, like a detail that he wanted changed. And I replied back to him. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like, you know, I'm not going to go back in and make any changes for now. I'm staying the hell out of it for now. We'll just have to live with that. And he was like, agreed. So just keep that in mind. You know, I would stay out of it if at all possible. You know, I don't think there's any way to determine exactly what it is that's going to cause the suspension right now. Any other comments on that, guys? No.
No, sir.
Okay, so 42 minutes ago, let's see. I'm trying to see where we should start now. Probably below my last post.
Yeah, keep going a little bit. There we go. Austin, I think.
Austin. If I order RYS stack specials, can I wait to start the orders until the syndication networks are done? Yeah, as long as it's within 30 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marco.
Yeah, you have to submit within 30 days, which gives us enough time to produce the syndication network. Don't wait longer than that, because you'll get refunded, and you have to start the process over again.
So there you go. Order the
and not only that, if we refund the money, we're not going to honor the coupon, by the way. That's just how we're doing. You have to buy at what the current price is at that time.
So there you go. So order the syndication network, and as soon as it's delivered, place your order for the or, you know, submit the details for the drive stack order, and you should be good to go. It's not going to take 30 days to get your syndication network. So, okay. Mohammed, what's up, Mohammed? Hey, buddy. He says, hey, guys, I have actually ranked websites doing nothing but done-for-you services from MGYB. While MGYB and the Battleplan get me results, it means that I don't spend much time per client. That's awesome, but what would I answer when someone asks how much time I actually spend on a client? A lot of clients have an hourly mindset, where if I don't spend 100 hours per month on them, then don't deserve the pay of 100 hours, but I'm still creating value. Why does it have to be tied to time? It shouldn't be, Mohammed. Here's the thing. And I saw this from one of my my first CrossFit coach, actually. His name's Parker. He quit coaching CrossFit. Now he's an arborist. He cuts trees. Like he works for you know, a company that cuts trees for power lines and stuff like that. And anyways, he's really good at it and he loves it. Point is that he posted a meme on Facebook that speaks exactly to what you're asking about here. He said something like, if I've spent 10 years developing a skill and I can come in and do something in 1 hour, you're not paying me for that 1 hour. You're paying me for the 10 years of skill development. In other words, and that's exactly how you have to treat it, Mohammed. It shouldn't be based upon time. Like, for example, I just pitched a client, a prospect, excuse me, who is now a client. He agreed, which I'm trying not to take on any additional marketing clients right now. I'd rather build my real estate business, to be honest with you. But I had a remodeling contractor contact me, and I pitched him for AdWords, Google Ads campaign, because I don't really want to do SEO for him. So I sold him on Google Ads, and I offered to manage a campaign for him. And my management fee is a bit hefty but I told him flat out in my proposal that I spend about an hour a week managing the campaign. So it's about 4 hours a month. But you know, I mean, and so what I'm charging, you know, if I were to get any shit from it, which I didn't, but if I was to get any questions about it, I'd be like, look, because I know what the hell I'm doing. You know, there's no, I'm not asking for an hourly wage. If you want to pay somebody an hourly wage, hire an employee to do your marketing for you, right? You're hiring me as a specialist that knows how to manage AdWords campaigns for local lead generation very, very well, very efficiently. So you're going to pay me this much because I'm going to get you results, period. That's end of story. There is no discussion. I don't have to explain any further, and neither should you, Mohammed. And I know you're getting better at that because you've asked these types of questions in the past, but you're absolutely right. It should not be tied to time. And that's what you have to be able to, I mean, I don't think you should even have to explain that to somebody, but that analogy that I just used where you said, if you're spending 10 years developing a skill so that you can do something in 1 hour that might take somebody else 10 hours, you're not getting paid for your hour. You're getting paid for 10 years of skill development and honing that skill. Does that make sense? Now, I know other people got comments on that.
Yeah, if I may, what I think is that he's not framing the conversation properly, because this is a recurring theme with Mohammed, where they're questioning his work, the amount of time, why am I paying you, and all of these things. We had Jason in the mastermind group tell us, you know, about the guy questioning him, and he wanted to a breakdown of what Jason was doing during the month to justify to the bookkeeper. And it's always the same thing. It's about you framing your services in a way that the customer understands that it's the value that you provide. It's understanding your value, being able to convey the value that you're providing to the client, and being able to put it in terms that you're being paid to perform. It's a pay per performance, or you're getting paid for what you do, not for the amount of time that you spend doing it. So what you have to do is, and I've recommended this before, you're going to have to go stand in front of that mirror, work on your script first of all, and then stand in front of that mirror so that you're able to deliver this pitch in a way that someone can understand. Practice with family, practice with friends, practice, because that's the only way that you're going to hone this to the point where you're going to deliver the message to the client in the right way. You're paying me to get results, right? Pay per result or pay per performance, however you want to call it, it's the same thing. You get paid for the value that you provide, not for the hour. Because you can spend 100 hours and not produce a single result and still demand your payment because you worked 100 hours. You know, maybe this client needs that. Well, if I worked 100 hours and I didn't get results, would you still pay me? Because I worked 100 hours, he's going to tell you, fuck no, I'm not going to pay you for not getting results. Well, then pay me because I get results, no matter how much time I spend on it.
Very good. Okay, so let's see. The next question is, hey guys, I create real estate video tours and I have a YouTube channel that I post all the videos to. My website is in development. Do I need 2 syndication networks? One for the website and one for the YouTube channel? Like one for my website blog content and one for the videos? I want to have the videos on my website as well. Do I need to manually add videos to my website and embed them in blog posts? And how do I unify these two things? No, you only need one branded network. In fact, I recommend that. Here's where I would recommend a second network, or at which point I would recommend having a separate network for the YouTube channel. If right now you're doing just the video stuff and your website's in development, that's fine. So a branded network is fine because you can, you have a branded channel. That's great. When you create your blog, or when it's ready and you start to post publish blog posts, it's going to, if you connect that to the same network, what you don't want to do is just take your YouTube videos and create blog posts that are just the YouTube videos. Like, in other words, the same title as the YouTube video, as the blog post title, right? And then just the embed code essentially, and then maybe the video description or whatever else, because then it's on the syndication network, it's going to look like the exact same post. It's going to look like duplicate posts on the network properties. Does that make sense? And really, it's just the blog properties mainly that you have to worry about: Blogger, WordPress, Tumblr, and any additional, blog properties that you may add, most of which you can't really syndicate to anyways. But my point is that it can create duplicate posts, what looks like duplicate posts, even though they're coming from different sources, and it can end up terminating for spam you get the account shut down essentially. And I know because it's happened to me in the past. So what I recommend is that if you can still publish the same videos from your YouTube channel to your network, as well as to your blog, but for your blog post that you're going to include the videos in, flesh those out a little bit more, contain more text-based content or various forms of content. We talk about curating content. I saw a question somewhere about curated content that I feel like got missed somewhere. Anyways, you could curate blog content, for example. That's what we recommend. My point is, on the blog, if you're going to use that video in a post, just flesh the post out a bit more. Have the title slightly different, more like a blog post title. You know, most of the time YouTube titles are just focused around a particular keyword, right? But for blog post titles, I recommend more of a, you know, more of a content rich, or more about, you know, more like a blog post title, right? I mean, it just makes sense. So that way, when they republish to your syndication network properties, especially the blog properties, they're going to be unique, right? It's okay to have the same video posted twice, but just in different contexts, in other words. So that's what I recommend. The only time that I would, if you were going to just try to take shortcuts or make it easy and just republish the videos to your blog, where it's pretty much the same title, it's just the video as the blog post itself, the content body of the post, and it may be like the description imported or something like that, then I would recommend tying your syndication network, your branded syndication network, to your blog, and in creating persona-based networks that would tie as tier 1 networks for your YouTube channel. And the reason I say that is because you want to start building the authority of your domain. YouTube already has inherent authority. So you can get away with, and there's no footprint issues, and there hasn't been ever, with using syndication networks, persona-based syndication networks, to republish video content. In other words, syndicate YouTube videos. But for your money site, you want to use that branded syndication network to complete the entity, solidify the entity, and also start to build that relevancy and authority. So that's why I recommend, if you're going to use 2 separate networks, that the branded network be attached to your blog and persona-based networks get attached to the YouTube channel. But again, I still recommend using one branded network for both, just changing the content up to make the to flesh the blog posts out a little bit more. Then they're going to look like unique posts on the network anyways, if that makes sense. All right, that's a good question though.
Hey Bradley, real quick, there was a quick question from Don about curating. He was just asking, does blog curating still work on website blogs? So
I did miss a question somewhere.
Yeah, it was just right above where you started. I didn't even catch it.
Okay, I remember reading that earlier. So so the question was, I'm sorry, does curating blog content still work?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. It still works. It's still our recommended method. And the reason why, and I've said this, you know, many times, we've got a training program up called Content Kingpin, which tells you exactly how to do it, teach you how to do it, but it also teaches you not to do it. Instead, hire a virtual assistant to do it. And it's even got the training in there for a virtual assistant. So if you take our advice and you hire a virtual assistant to do it for you, you can put them through the training and they'll be able to learn how to do it. But here's the thing, unless you're a subject matter expert about whatever you're blogging about, then it's hard to write anything original that's any good, right? The same thing goes for writers, guys. If you're hiring writers, like going to a content farm and buying content about any particular topic, do you think those writers there are really subject matter experts about whatever topic it is you're buying an article for? No, it's likely that all they're doing is they're scraping an article from the web, they're putting it through a spinner, and they might go manually read through the spun version of it and do some grammatical corrections and things like that. But they're not writing original articles because they're not subject matter experts. And you can tell, because when you get the content back, you can tell it's not written by a subject matter expert. If anything, it's been scraped from somewhere on the web and rewritten slightly. And that's what you're paying for. So you're much better off curating content from subject matter experts. Go find content that's really good, relevant content that's written by subject matter experts, and borrow pieces of their content, give proper attribution, cite the source, link out to them with no follow links. That's how I always do it. And that way, now all you have to do is, you don't have to be a subject matter expert. All you got to do is inject some commentary in between the curated pieces of content that you include in the post, which curated content can be text-based. It can be visual, so it can be images or photos. It can be audio based, like MP3s. You can embed like MP3 players. It can be video, infographics, all of these different things you can curate, guys, to reinforce the overall theme of whatever the post is about. And you can use subject matter content for reinforcing that topic and then all you got to do is inject commentary, and you can train a VA to do that. Because really all you need to do is learn how to locate good content, organize it, and then curate it. And once you can do that, you can start banging out content so much faster. Again, I haven't blogged in years because I haven't had to, because I've trained VAs to do that, a lot of VAs to do that. And content marketing is a very big part of SEO for all of my clients. They pay me on a monthly basis for content marketing, and I pay my VAs to do it all. All I have ever had to do is manage it, really. So again, it's called Content Kingpin. By the way, if you join Mastermind, you get that included in your Mastermind membership. Anybody have a comment on that before I move on?
Nope.
Okay.
No, that's perfect.
Okay, the next one says, when you set up syndication network for your money site blog, do you use physical silo, virtual silo for posts and blog on money site? It doesn't matter. I recommend using virtual silos now, which just means you get rid of the category/permalink structure. Category/post name permalink structure, and you just go with post name. That's it. There's no difference, guys. It's just the difference between virtual and physical silo is with the physical silo, you actually see it in the URL. In the virtual silo, you don't, but it's all the exact same as far as how you stack your content within the category hierarchy, the category structure, and also your interlinking. So, virtual silo is what I recommend because it keeps the URL shorter, right? And, shorter URLs are better, in my opinion, now. And I didn't used to think so. I used to always stick with physical silos. And for a while there was a reason I did that. But now, and through much testing, it makes no difference whatsoever. And I prefer the shorter URLs now. All right. And what about percent of exact match internal linking in posts? Asking because posts going to blog 2.0 and point back to back using exact match keywords. Yeah, and we've talked about that, and that's covered in Syndication Academy, and you could probably find multiple examples on our YouTube channel of where we've talked about that also. Also, if you go to, support.semanticmastery.com and go into our knowledge base, you'll find posts in there specifically about that. If you're going to be doing a lot of blog syndication or blogging that's going to be syndicated out to a network, just vary your anchor text within, internal linking. You don't have to always hammer. But remember, if all you've got is a branded syndication network with it, remember, think about it. It's just 3 blogs within the network that are branded. So it's not the same as if you were out there hammering link building from link building gigs with the same anchor text, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not something you really have to worry about that much. Just vary it up. If you're going to be doing a lot of blogging, vary it up. Okay. It's a good question though. All right, guys, we got about 5 minutes left. So we're going to roll through these last couple. It says, Dan says, would you guys rank? I saw this one earlier. So Dan, I'm sorry if I skipped over it. I thought that was part of the RYS Academy webinar. He says, would you guys rank any keyword for a customer, i.e. I have an international bank that a customer wants me to rank on page 1 for name of the bank to give public notice how they are not to be trusted. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm going to let the other guys comment on this too, but curious what your thoughts are on this. To me, that's like negative SEO. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and it's on the legality too. So buyer beware.
It's negative unless the customer has a legitimate gripe about the bank. You'd have to find out more information. I would, and then it would be really simple to get them in one of the websites that where you have scam alerts and all that, because those are powerful and they're really hard to get rid of. And then you push power to that, so you keep that. You could actually do a whole campaign with one of those websites, and that'll pull up all of the other results with it that you're trying to push up. But be careful, because what goes around comes around.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it were me and somebody pissed me off and I had a valid reason to do that, yes. If somebody else came to me with a gripe and said, would you do this for me? I would pass. just so you know, because unless I was personally involved in whatever the shitstorm was that caused them to be angry, I wouldn't do any sort of SEO campaign against somebody else unless I was personally involved. And I just say that because honestly, I would pass on that in a heartbeat. I would tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not your guy. If you want, I'll help you with your SEO, but I'm not going to, push things up that are disparaging somebody else or some other business unless I had a personal vendetta against them. Like, in other words, unless I was personally involved in whatever it was. And that's just my opinion. To me, that's too much like negative SEO, and it's not something I want to be associated with. Just so you guys know, that's my opinion. If you're okay with it, by all means do it. I'm not telling you you're a bad person for doing it, by the way. I'm just saying I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's just my opinion. So, okay. If anybody's no other comments, I'm going to keep moving. He says, see, I already have live events on page 1, and I am working to rank website also, which is just a one-page site. Was thinking the RYS Google Drive Setup, smallest package, may make this very easy. Yeah, it will, because you can rank for a brand name really easy with a Drive Stack or a G site for that, especially. There's no doubt that works incredibly well. In fact, my newest business, my realty business, my Google site outranks my landing page right now. And so again, it's for the brand name search, so it's very easy to get really good results with a Drive Stack for a brand name search. Okay. It is a one-page WordPress website. Also, Google's not showing the description supposedly because of the robots.txt file, although all that is your basic. Oh, so your basic robots.txt. So I don't know, Marco, can you comment on that? I'm not sure I don't know him enough about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the way he has it set up, how it would stop the bot from crawling. Just take out the allow, because if you're only disallowing the WordPress admin, why would you need it? Why would you need to allow it into the admin Ajax? Well, it's going through the WordPress admin. Yeah, I don't see how that would stop Google from displaying the description. Try taking everything out. Try taking out the disallow, WordPress admin. Go back into Search Console and go through whatever steps they tell you to clear it. Once it's gone through, put it back. Sometimes we just solved the issue on one of the websites that way today.
Yeah. I did miss another question. So guys, this is it because we got 2 minutes left and I've got to go. He says, as far as GMB penalties and then punishing changes, are people getting hit for posting posts in their GMBs, i.e. your GMB Pro method? No, I haven't seen that happen at all. And I've got some VAs that actually do the GMB publishing of posts from within the GMB dashboard as managers or site managers. And then there's most of them all run through the API because they're connected through our Citation Builder Pro app. So they do it within an application that then publishes via API. And in either case, I haven't had a single GMB hit from posting. Marco, have you?
We had it happen for a video.
For one video, one time.
One video, one time.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. All of our posts, whether it's through Citation Builder Pro, through the briefcase, or as managers, they all go through just fine.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Once again, let me just pull this up on site real quick, guys. We talked about this earlier. If you did miss the beginning of this, where we spent the first hour talking about RYS Academy because it's our anniversary month this month. 4 years ago today, we launched the original version. It's still going strong today. It's been updated multiple times. The Facebook group has a lot of additional content and training in there. Plus, it's an active community. If you want to join RYS Academy for $1,500 off, which is a rare time that we ever discount this because it is so powerful, there you go. That's the link to purchase it. Use this coupon code special RYS Reloaded. Or if you want to opt for the 2-pay method, use special RYS Reloaded 2 as the coupon code for that. If you want to join it. Otherwise, do what we continually tell you to do, which is buy done-for-you drive stacks. Save yourself the time of having to learn and do it yourself. And that's at MGYB.co. Go to our store, select RYS, and then you can get 35% off any RYS drive stacks for the next 48 hours with the coupon code STACKS35 off. So place those orders, guys.
Woo!
Any last
Wahoo!
comments before we wrap it up?
Yeah, you won't see 1,500 off again for about another year. So if you want the training, jump on it, because I'm not taking that much off the training again until another anniversary, I don't know, the 5-year anniversary, right? And 35% off drive stacks. You don't see that very often either. So take advantage while it's hot, man. If not, then wait and pay full price. It's up to you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.